and outlaws. Welcome to the Slick Six Guns Network. Today we're going to have some fun. I'm going to wait for some people to go ahead and jump on. We said that we were going to go live around 8 o'clock, so, we'll see how many people we get and then kind of where we go from here. So, this will be quite interesting. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Hey, good morning. Thank you for jumping on. Hey, so basically, the way this works is first off, welcome. And drop your comments in the chat. Grab your coffee. Feel free to watch me. We're going to have some fun. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. Good morning. We're going to be doing some pretty awesome stuff. So what I want you guys to do is just make sure that you guys, that we have the topic listed today. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to debate this topic. And basically, if you can prove me wrong, go ahead. I'll entertain anybody and everyone's idea. Granted, opinions are opinions, and facts are facts, and all that. I certainly have my opinions. I'll probably express them on here. But this is going to be kind of an entertaining topic. We're talking about whether revolvers are obsolete. So, what you need to do is, if you want to debate me, go ahead and just drop your comment into the comment section. I'll give you a shout out as we kind of go through this debate. Mention your name and all that, your handle, I should say, and hopefully, we kind of get things going with this chat, and we'll just get going. But so I guess I'll kind of go first to an extent. Really, I don't think revolvers are obsolete at all. I think they're quite useful. I think they are still relevant today. I think a perfect example of this is actually what is, just what's being made on the market. I mean, let's talk about it that way. Revolvers are still being made today. I think that's I think that's pretty well evidenced enough. They're still being made today. Generally speaking, innovation is still going on, I would say. So I think that's just something that people need to consider, you know? So, I mean, we can start there. So, I mean, they're still being made today. They're being, even innovated with different types. We could talk about the fact that a lot of the larger calibers are in revolvers for, you know, the reason that they're seen as stronger. Some of them are made stronger than semi-autos and all that, even though that semi-autos seem to be a very relevant topic today. We can talk about that as well. So, hit me up in the comments section and let's get started on the debate. Um, Hello, welcome for joining. Thank you. Just to let you guys know, we are debating a topic today. You need to prove me wrong, or we can just talk about it in general. You don't have to think, oh, well, I'll just prove this guy wrong. It's not meant to be antagonizing. I just don't think revolvers are obsolete. Prove me wrong. Say otherwise. State your claim and all that stuff, and why you think that's irrelevant. While you're in here, why don't you go ahead and just hit that like button so that we can push out this live stream to as many people as possible. I'd love to get as many people as we can on this debate, and let's have a conversation. So just hit me up in the comments section. I'll bring your question up, or your claim up, I should say, and then we'll go ahead and get going and hopefully have an entertaining conversation. I'm looking forward to it. So thank you. For those of you who want to, you guys can always donate to the channel. We have a super chat. You can do that too. We also have a raffle currently going on. For those of you that don't know, it's in the description section. Go ahead and check it out, and feel free to donate to that raffle. So we do have a giveaway. Don't miss out. Make sure you got your coffee with you. So, or you could just ask me any questions you want having to do with me, myself, my guns, whatever. It doesn't matter. Go ahead and drop your comment in the comments section, your question, your claim, your statement. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. If you agree with me, that's fine. Maybe there's something else you can state, but we're going to go ahead and go with that. So, once again, revolvers are not obsolete. Let's see what kind of conversation we get started. The ammo is prevalent today. It's very common, easy to buy, just as much as any other semi-auto. So I'd say it's kind of on the level, if you will, a little bit with at least buying power. I'm sure there's advantages and disadvantages to both. But yeah, so this will be pretty interesting. So let's just talk about the fact that you've got, as I said, you have typically larger calibers in these revolvers. And as I said, they're still being innovated today. In fact, they're trying to figure out how to put the most pressures that they can into these things. And guess where these cartridges are going to? They're going to revolvers. You got the 500 Smith and Wesson. You got 454 Casull. You got 357, even though that is chambered in some semi-autos. You got 44 Magnum. Shoot, they're even coming out with conversions when we're talking about like some of these revolvers that are shooting strictly revolver cartridges. They're even being converted to have semi-auto cartridges as well. So you switch out the cylinder, you can shoot a semi-auto cartridge. So for those of you that just jumped in, go ahead and hit that like button first because I want to push this out to as many people as possible. But here's my claim. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Now your job is to try and prove me wrong. And the way you do that is you go ahead and you drop into the comment section, you state your claim, why revolvers are obsolete, or, some effect to the contrary, and we go from there. So go ahead or you could just say hello in the comments section. I'll give you a shout out. Thank you for giving me the like and the thumbs up there. I'm really enjoying it here. I hope you guys have your coffee, all that stuff. I hope you guys can hear me clear. I haven't gotten a whole lot of complaints on that, so it sounds like we're good, and we're drinking and having a good time. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. We'll see what kind of conversation we get going and what kind of comments we get. Hey, Ethan, morning. Thank you for dropping by. The prompt is that I think revolvers are not obsolete. Let's go ahead and have a conversation. If you think otherwise, let's go. There's some people that have a tendency to think that way. I don't know. Maybe my audience might be a little on the mixed subject. They may not know a whole lot about guns. Some of them may know a lot and might want to say stuff. Describe your perfect revolver for the modern day. Oh, okay. That's a pretty good one. Steven, I apologize if I mispronounce your name, but I hope I got it right there. So your question is, describe your perfect revolver for the modern day. Well, I would say it would be something that you could carry, in a caliber that you think would be effective for personal defense, hunting, whatever. If you wanted to, maybe something that could do it all, but I mean, granted, we have a bunch of revolvers out there that could be matched for many different things. So I would say something that you can carry, that you're competent with, and you wouldn't feel like changing out and you wouldn't feel underpowered. That's how I would describe my perfect revolver. Good question. Thank you. What do you think, Stefan? Are you a fan of revolvers? Are you more of a semi-auto guy? We can go there. Thank you for the question, though. Appreciate it. My claim here is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. So let's see how we go. Depending on what kind of conversation we get will kind of depend on how long this goes for. We'll see. We had a poll earlier today to see if I could come on and do a live stream and see how effective that would be, and whether that would be something that people would want. And we're here. So drop your stuff into the comments section. Okay then says hi. Hey, welcome to the chat, man. Thank you for jumping in. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Okay? So just drop your comment into the comments section. It may get overcrowded and we may have to kind of move on from there. But, if you disagree with me, try and prove me wrong. Thank you for coming. Ethan Pierce. Yep, I said hello to you earlier. Personally, I prefer semi-autos, but I can definitely see why revolvers are great. Yeah, I think they both are pretty good overall. Depends on what you're comfortable with. But when people say that revolvers are obsolete, I have a tendency to think otherwise. I think there's a lot of indications that they are not. Maybe it just depends on the person, but people are upset about the capacity. They don't really like the fact that it's capacity. Some people complain that they're very recoil sensitive. Well, we do have semi-autos that come in relatively heavy calibers too, and people are recoil sensitive to those too. So maybe they're just recoil sensitive all around. But that doesn't mean that revolvers are obsolete. That's just kind of a thing. I live in Pakistan and I got my new license of 9mm and I want to, but Beretta 9mm or maybe Glock. Can you refer me any best 9mm pistol in semi-auto? Well, that's a good question. Thank you for asking. To be honest with you, I think there are some pistols that have a better reputation. But, when you're talking about 9mm, it's kind of pick your flavor. So, me personally, and I'm only going to use my personal experience. So, if we're going with facts here, and if you were me, and what I picked, well, my daily carry 9mm is a Glock 19X. And I have nothing bad to say about it. So, Glock is pretty good. That's what I would say. I hope that answers your question. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for asking. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about, why revolvers are not obsolete, all that stuff. But Glock don't have any safety. They do. You're talking about no manual safety. Okay? So Glock does have a trigger safety on it. It's built into it. So to say that Glock does not have a safety is not accurate. It does not have a manual safety. You are correct in that statement, but it does have safety features to include a firing pin block that basically keeps the gun from discharging if it were dropped, unless the trigger is pulled. So I would kind of disagree with that statement. So, but thank you. What else we got? My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. In fact, we could kind of go even further. We could actually say that revolvers with their trigger pull technically don't have a safety, have a safety somewhat similar to a Glock, except they don't have the trigger safety mechanism. Their safety is the double action pull. So you could get a revolver and have that too. What's your favorite revolver and caliber? Colt Single Action Army, 45 Colt. That's my favorite. Now, I didn't say favorite carry. If you ask me favorite carry, that would be different. But my favorite revolver is a Colt Single Action Army and 45 Colt. Thank you for asking. Thanks, Ethan. But anyway, yeah, my claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. Let's see what we get. Try and keep this going. By all means, drop your comments in the comment section. Drop your name. I'll give you a shout out, all that good stuff. Go ahead and hit that like button. Let people know that we're on live, having a good time. Come join us. Obviously, the audio is pretty good. People are jumping in, not saying that they can't hear me, so glad I fixed that problem. Anyway, hopefully y'all are doing well this morning. We're out here in Texas having a great time. Enjoying the sunny side of life, if you will. Thank you for jumping in. Can you give me any options other than Glock or tell me about the Beretta because I have to purchase it right now? Okay. Okay then. Can I give you any other recommendations? Smith & Wesson. Yes. I would say Smith & Wesson Shield. Those come in many different variants. You can have the option of similar to a Glock. You can have a manual safety. You can have a grip safety if that's something that is something you recommend. Smith & Wesson also has a little bit to be a tendency on the cheaper side sometimes. I'm going to say sometimes in that manner because a lot of things nowadays are, prices are pick your flavor. They can be just expensive all around. But I know that Smith & Wesson sometimes can be more for the budget-minded. But they're good guns. I got nothing bad to say about Smith & Wesson shields. That's what you want, go get it. I think it's awesome. Ethan says, just subscribed. Hey, thanks, Ethan. Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully you guys enjoy my channel. We got a lot of good content out there. We've been making content every single day to include live streams, to include shorts. We got a lot of stuff going on. So just remember that if you guys want stuff, just make sure you put it in the comments section and we'll see where we go. But yeah, those of you guys who just jumped on, go ahead and give me a like. And my claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. If you think otherwise, prove me wrong. Go ahead and drop your comment into the comment section, or you can drop a comment just about anything. I like to talk. We can chit chat about my life. You can have questions about me, about the guns I own, about my channel, topics in general. If I'm not going to talk about it, I'll let you know, but I will definitely give everybody their credit where it's due. And, just say hello. It's nice to talk to everyone. So anyway, yeah, let's just go ahead and drop some comments in and into the chat. And let's get started. Revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. So hopefully you all are having a good morning. Wherever you're watching from, welcome. Maybe you guys are on the other side of the world right now or in a different part of the States. Let me know where you're watching from. I always love knowing where my audience is from. We just had a conversation yesterday in which we talked about, subscribers, certain subscribers, personal lives, all that stuff. Whatever they wanted to talk about, they came on here and we discussed, you know. I'm in the UK. Ethan says, I'm in the UK. It's 2:15 p.m. right now. Hey, well, it is 8 a.m. here in the area in the United States that I'm at. So, good afternoon to you. Glad you could drop on in and enjoy some time. So, that's great. Yeah. Hopefully the weather over there isn't too bad. You guys are having a nice sunny day. I don't know. I've never been to England myself, so I wouldn't know much about the weather. But I would imagine that, you know, you experience all kinds. So anyway, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. Those of you that are just jumping in, my claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. If you guys feel otherwise and you want to discuss it and prove me wrong, go ahead and drop your comment into the comments section and we can debate it. Let me know. Or we can talk about other things. Whatever it is. You know. But anyway, go ahead and hit that like button while you're on so that we can go ahead and push this out to people right now and so that we can discuss, bring more people into the fold. Ethan says, actually, it's raining really bad right now. Ah, man. Well, you know what? That's perfect because you get to jump in the chat with me, man. That means you get to spend more time with me. Hey, I'm not complaining. You might be. I apologize if you actually want to do some things today, but hey, dropped in for some good conversation, so you're welcome. Anyway, favorite revolver, Colt Single Action Army and 45 Colt. Thank you for asking, Mr. Mace Windu. Well, you're a Star Wars fan, and I am too. Ask what my favorite revolver is, and I say it's the Colt Single Action Army and 45 Colt. So, if you got one, what is yours? No, I'm working out at my house, so I'm not bothered. Ethan says, no, I'm working out at my house, so I'm not bothered. Okay, so, okay, cool. Well, so I caught you during your workout routine. That's good, having fun. Okay, then says, thank you for your guidance, but here Smith & Wesson is so expensive because the customs duty here is very high. But I am grateful to you for your good advice. I will buy a down model. Thanks. Okay, well, I'm glad that I could help you. Okay then, so hopefully I'm glad I provided some input to you, and hopefully you can take that and good luck in your purchase. So find a good one. Thanks for dropping in and giving the comments. I love the 45 Schofield. Okay. Yeah. So I know that Uberti makes a 45 Schofield. I have not shot that one. I can't say it's my favorite, therefore. But that's cool. If you shot it, let me know. Maybe you have some experience with it. Smith & Wesson revolvers, I think, are fine. I got no issues with them. I have more Colt Single Action Armies and clones than I do Smith & Wessons. So, in fact, this is the only Smith & Wesson that I have is actually on the smaller side. It's a pocket pistol. So it's nowhere near the 45 Schofield. So yeah, that kind of makes sense there with that. But at least you like a revolver. I think that's awesome, man. So anyway, thank you for jumping in, everybody. Remember, my point of this live stream is to have a debate about whether why you think revolvers might be obsolete. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. If you think otherwise, go ahead and prove me wrong. We'll have a debate about it. It's going to be pretty fun. We're 25 minutes in, enjoying the conversation. We got people watching from all over the world. I got people from Pakistan, UK. Thank you for jumping in. Okay. Mace Windu says, I also like the 38 snub nose used in the 20s. Cool. Yeah. I think I've definitely had my eye on Smith and Wesson's. I don't want to say the older ones, but I'm talking more for concealed carry. I think that 38s are pretty good. I think I mean, shoot, I have revolvers in 32, so I think to an extent that I have a 32 revolver, and so I'm not going to discriminate on the ammo when it comes to the revolver types. Smith and Wesson is reputable, so snub nose revolvers are reputable. I mean, they still make them, so once again, kind of leads into my argument that they're still, they're not obsolete. So, they still make snub noses. They make longer barrels too. So 38's a good cartridge in my opinion. I don't carry it, but I think it's a good one. AAA says, "What in the Red Dead Redemption have I stumbled into?" Well, I got a plan. You with me? I love Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a great game. If that's something that you're into, you came to the right place. Arthur Morgan's my favorite character. Mace Windu says, I personally carry a Ruger SP-101. Great. Good revolver. I think GP100s, SP-101s, I think Ruger has a great reputation for their revolvers. I think their revolvers have great durability. Man, that's hard. I mean, they've been relevant for quite some time, so I would say that Ruger SP-101s are definitely a good pick, you know? So I'm glad you like them. Hopefully you carry it every day. But yeah. The Squirrel Assassins. Ruger Blackhawks are awesome. I love them. Me too. I did have a Ruger Blackhawk. Unfortunately, I got rid of it because times got hard. So Ruger Blackhawks are pretty cool. And for those of you that don't know, Ruger Blackhawks are single action revolvers. They're big frames. So normally they're shooting larger calibers. So anyway, it's it's a platform that is still produced today. So, and they usually are single action big frames. But I like them too. They're supposed to be clones of the Colt single action army, although they're not as accurate clones as their Vaqueros or their new Vaqueros, but you know, they're good guns. Got nothing bad to say about it. AAA says, this is why I fear America. Well, where are you from, brother? You fear America because you got people that dress like me? Or people that like Red Dead Redemption 2? Let me know where you're from. And why specifically you fear America. That'd be interesting to know. I'm in the UK. Okay, well, welcome. Welcome. We got a couple people watching from the UK. Good afternoon where you're at, I'm sure. It's not morning. Love RDR2. I don't want to be in that game. Well, that's okay. You know, they had a lot of. The game is great. I'm sure real life back then, you're talking about the mortality rate and all that stuff. the disease, lack of modern medicine. Everybody claimed they could be a doctor even though they didn't have the license to practice. The lawyers, too. The lawlessness in certain areas that was up to the sheriff and all that, the potential corruption. But I mean, you can have that at any time frame, right? Also depends on what country you're in. Not all countries have modern medicine either. Not all countries have great governments. Not all countries have, the freedoms that some do. Or the illusion of freedom sometimes. Okay, so we're starting to get some good comments in here. I kind of want to go back a little bit. It says Mace Windu says, I can understand if you're talking about concealed carry. Okay, yeah, I mean, once again, it depends on which area you're in, your laws, all that stuff. Some people like to open carry. So, I mean, concealed carry is as old as firearms themselves. So, I mean, they came out with small guns that you could throw into your pocket, all the way back to single shots and percussion single shot cap lock pistols, and even earlier. So, I mean, concealed carry, semi-auto versus revolver, it really doesn't matter. But some people do open carry. I know that. So, I mean, open carry, you might pick a Colt Single Action Army. You might pick Ruger Red Hawk, which is another good one. So, great. Thanks for bringing that up. But yeah, I mean, arguably, you could say that the concealed carry market tends toward 38 and smaller. Yeah, I would say that's relatively accurate. People aren't saying wear your Smith & Wesson 500 for concealed carry. Okay. Hello, Micah, Mr. Llama says. Well, actually, I'm not a huge fan of Micah. I don't think of anyone that really likes Micah that much. Plus, I'm still here. Micah's dead. Nice window. Nah, he's nice. Not like Micah. No, you're right. I'm not a jerk. Arthur Morgan wasn't necessarily a great guy either. But he sure was funny. Casey Harris says, I was curious, how did you get your hands on the Colt 1903 pistol? I watched the short and video you made on it. Good question. Thank you for asking. How did I find my Colt 1903? I went to a nice little place in Houston, Texas, known as Collector's Firearms. And they got a lot of collector's guns, okay? They got a lot of Old West guns. And I mean, we're talking, the place was probably almost as big as a football stadium full of guns. Crazy. And they actually had a Colt 1903 on there. They have, of course, their different categories, different eras. I went to that era. They had a group of 1903s there, and I found the one that was still functional and relatively inexpensive. I think when I bought it, I paid about $600 for it, and it still functions. Works great. It's a great gun. I love it. Okay, what about the Ruger Blackhawk? Bloom Jockey says, what about the Ruger Blackhawk? Are you asking whether the Ruger Blackhawk is obsolete, or you're stating that it's obsolete? Is that what you're asking, or are you asking what specifically about the Ruger Blackhawk are you stating? We can talk about that too. Mr. Bloom Jackie, what about the Ruger Blackhawk? Let me know in the comments. Give me a little more detail on that. What do you mean about it? There we go. Hey, we got some people reacting. Thank you so much. Go ahead and hit that like button. Push us out to everybody out there. We can have a conversation. But yeah, for those of you who just jumped in, we're having a conversation on whether we think revolvers are obsolete or not. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. I saw some dude open carry a Fulton Mark 14. Okay. Um, okay, I'm not too familiar with that weapon, so I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I assume that is something that is relatively large that you're open carrying. Um, his choice, I guess. You know, you may have thought it ridiculous, but he may not. Revolvers are sick as hell. Who was it? Oobly. Revolvers are sick as H. Okay. Yeah, I need to watch my language on here. I don't want to get censored, because I can only say so much. Revolvers are sick as H, says Oobly. I agree with you. 100%. They're definitely sick. Gnome says JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 7 Steel Ball Run. Don't know what that is. No idea what you're talking about, man. Thanks for dropping into the comments section, though. But anyway, for those of you who don't know, we're having a debate here. We're talking about revolvers are not obsolete. And if you disagree with me, let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk in the comments section. Let's have a debate about it. Prove me wrong. Go ahead and hit that like button, and let's go ahead and push this out to as many people as we can. So it's great to see that people are jumping on. Good to see you this morning. Do you use modern revolvers with speed loaders? Me personally, no, I do not. The thing is that honestly, if I'm carrying a gun, I typically never really thought to carry extra ammo because for the most part, I just don't really want to have the extra stuff in my pockets. I guess you could have a belt or something that could carry stuff like that, but a gun is enough for me, to be honest with you. So, I mean, I don't really, I don't, I just don't carry extra ammo. So, I don't use speed loaders. I hope that answers your questions. Okay, Gnome's got a few things. He says hi, so welcome. Thank you for dropping into the chat. Why such a niche topic that only appeals to a small audience? Gnome, first off, my channel is mostly about revolvers anyway. It's mostly about Western stuff, which leads into revolvers, and therefore that's kind of what my audience is more about. So we have a tendency to have some people that do watch this channel that are into modern stuff as well, and some of them might think that revolvers are completely obsolete. So I think it's kind of something that we should talk about, especially on a channel like this, because some people would disagree with me. That's okay. So I hope that answers your question. It's a niche topic for my channel. That's what I would say. I think that my audience would be interested in that. Okay. Bloom Jackie. How accurate is the Ruger Blackhawk out of the box? I mean, I assume the Blackhawks, most of them, at least the Blackhawks that I've seen, have adjustable sights, so I'm sure they're pretty darn accurate. It really depends on, thanks for all the love, guys. I'm glad that you guys are liking the video. Nice to see that. Appreciate it. It's always nice to get some love out there. So I'd say Ruger Blackhawks are relatively accurate. I mean, it's a gun. It's got rifling. Pistols are. I'm not a long distance handgun shooter. So I can't necessarily say it's an inaccurate gun. I'd say if I took a Ruger Blackhawk and a Ruger New Vaquero and I put them at the same distance, I'd say they shoot just as well. It depends mostly on me as the shooter. So I think it's great, man. The only time I've ever seen accuracy issues with any gun is, well, I mean, if you take a gun well beyond the distance, if you take a revolver out to, you know, 200 yards, you're probably not going to be as accurate as you are with a rifle. You know, but where you see accuracy issues is with guns that aren't maintained well, usually. And by maintained, I mean like they've actually got damage to the inside of the barrel, things like that. The ammunition sucks, you know, for whatever reason, one reason or another. Your powder load is inconsistent, something like that. Okay, Mace Windows says, have you tried a 36 Navy revolver? Yes, I have. Thank you for asking. I have owned a Navy revolver, and I have shot 36, and I do actually have another 36 revolver, although it is not a Navy specific. My opinion of 36 caliber is as cap and ball is great. I got nothing bad to say about it. I enjoy it. No issues, in my opinion. Bloom Jackie says, I think they started making the Ruger Blackhawk somewhere in the 1950s, so is it obsolete? No, it's not. I guess when I'm making my claim, I say that revolvers in general are not obsolete. So no, I do not think it's obsolete. I can state why that is. Yes, they started making the Blackhawk in the 1950s. I could kind of go into the history of that and kind of why they came up with that. Although, to be honest with you, you could go back and watch some of my videos and see the history of like the Ruger New Vaquero. I talk specifically about Blackhawk. So, yeah, it's kind of a. I'm going to go back because I got people skipping ahead. No, I don't think it's obsolete because it fires modern cartridges. Cartridges that are still relevant to today. People do carry them in just about anywhere. Like I said, people do open carry. People do hunting with them sometimes. So I would say they are not obsolete. Once again, you know, that's my opinion. So some may think otherwise. Okay, just To Italia says, just stop by to mention that I agree with your opinion, and even if they are somewhat low capacity to today's Glocks, they are more interesting in both design and history, at least to me. I agree with you. I could not disagree with you on any of what you said. Doesn't mean Glocks are bad guns. I own a Glock. I'll be honest. I do. But I'm not going to say that revolvers are obsolete. But yeah, I appreciate your sentiment there. Thank you. Okay, there is a reason why revolvers are still around after all these years. They will never be obsolete. Great point. Great point. I would go even further to say they're actually trying to innovate and make revolvers in different designs to keep up with the times. If they're doing that, how can you say it's obsolete? Asocial but in Dutch says, people think they're obsolete. Yeah, there are some people out there that think revolvers are obsolete. Completely and totally. They'd 100% just go with a semi-auto and call it a day. Cool Getter says, hello. Welcome to the channel, Cool Getter. Thank you so much. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, we're talking about a topic stating that revolvers are not obsolete. And I'm saying prove me wrong if you disagree. We might have a few people that are interested in that. I don't know. We'll see what we get. I'm kind of experimenting here to see what kind of comments we get, see if we can get some engagement, maybe open some eyes, ears, whatever. You know, this channel's more about education and, you know, kind of talking to people about just things. I mean, there's things that I put on my channel that I'm sure a lot of people disagree with. We could even talk about that. You know, if you go through some of my videos, you can probably see some things. Because I do feature 1911s on my channel. I feature Colt 1903s. So I do use semi-autos too. I'm not going to say anything bad about that. I got my opinions on Colt single action armies. I got my opinions on other revolvers. We can talk about those too. Drop your comment in the comment section to get started with the conversation. Welcome. I hope you enjoy your morning or your afternoon or wherever you're at. We're going to go ahead and just keep talking here. So anyway, so we're at about the 45-minute mark. We're just keep going, see who we get on. We can say hello. Some of you guys probably saw me yesterday. Been on the channel for a little bit. Great to hear. Glad people are enjoying it. Getting a little bit more interaction today, which is kind of nice. I don't know if that has to do with the topic or the time of day. Might be a little bit of both. I don't know. You know, thank you for jumping in. So those of you who just jumped on, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's get this pushed out to everybody. I subbed because you seem like a cool guy. Thanks, brother. Thank you. I think I am cool. I don't think anyone would argue otherwise. Some people, sometimes I get some hate, but you know what? I'm here for you. At the end of the day, I'm here for you. So if I receive hate, okay, but it doesn't matter to me. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm a pretty decent guy. I got some cool stuff on my channel. Feel free to check it out, man. Thanks for giving me the like, whoever did. Appreciate it. Yeah, so I'm a cool guy. We can talk about anything. No pressure. Well, I guess there is kind of pressure because I do have a topic. I would like to try and stay on topic. If anyone disagrees with me, let's go ahead and get a conversation started. Once again, my claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. So, but anyway. Asocial but in Dutch. I can imagine that some would consider them too inconvenient for EDC or everyday carry or whatever, needing to load every bullet sequentially with low capacity, not least to mention bulky speed loaders, etc. But I would say yes and no. I mean, if you look, sorry, word count. Yeah, you might have to put that in parts. That's okay, man. Don't worry about it. If you can carry a revolver, you can carry a semi-auto and vice versa. There's different flavors for different sizes. So I think that's kind of an illusion. I think that's kind of a... how do I put this? I think it's a fallacy to think that people don't want to carry these things because they think it's too inconvenient, or at least it's something that they somehow have been pressured into believing that. I think if they actually put apples to apples, one right next to the other, put one in their pocket versus the other, capacity might be one. I guess that's something that you could talk about, but at the same time, we can also say that you're getting a more powerful cartridge technically, depending on what you're loading, because you can load some of that stuff pretty hot. But I don't 100% agree with that, but maybe. Bloom Jackie says, I mean, the low capacity and the slow reload, and most are heavy. I mean, I see why would some like them, maybe, or history behind them, or whatever. Yeah, but think about it this way. We have revolvers out there that are actually being made with 9 shots in them. Shoot, you could even argue that some of them are 22s and have, 10 shots. So, I mean, and if you look at some of the carry semi-autos that we got out there, we've got, 10 shots usually in a Ruger LCP Max. You could buy an extended magazine. That's true. But I mean, if you're comparing apples to apples, at least even though caliber size is different, capacity-wise, you could technically say it's the same in some instances. Okay? Most are heavy. Okay, well, I mean, you say most are heavy. Well, I mean, you got things like the 642 Airweight, the Smith & Wesson 642 Airweight. That's not a very heavy gun. I would say that my Smith & Wesson shield and 30 super carry with 17 rounds, and it is actually heavier than a Smith & Wesson 642. So, more capacity, but it's actually heavier. So yeah, I mean, I would see why. Some would like them maybe of the history. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, there is some historical precedent there. But I mean, if you go back through history, you're also going to see that semi-autos came about, as early as 1900 or even earlier. So I mean, there's historical precedence there too, not too far behind revolvers. You know. Okay. What time zone are you in? I'm in CST, Central Standard Time, in the U.S. Because it's like almost 10 where I am, so I was a little confused. Yeah, I know. In the post, when I let people know that I was going live, I put it in the post just 8 a.m. And I know that kind of might have thrown some people off, but I should have put, you know, I should have put that there. Apologize for the confusion. Asocial says asocial, but in Dutch says 9. Um, um, could you kind of elaborate on that, buddy? CG, just jumping in, but I love my Chiappa 40DS, ugly as sin, but I love having the barrel at 6 o'clock position. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for jumping in. Glad you enjoy it. As in 9 rounds in the cylinder. Yes, it is. There is a Smith & Wesson revolver out there. I forgot the model number. It was a couple years ago that it came out, but it was in 357. It's a 9-shot revolver, I believe. Believe it was 9. Might have been 7 or 8. 7, 8, 9. I think it is 9 though. I might have to double check that. I don't have that information directly in front of me, but I remember the capacity was pretty darn high. You know. Yeah. Yeah, as in 9 rounds in the cylinder. Yeah, I already answered that. I didn't know they went up that far. Yeah, there is one that does. Yeah, Smith & Wesson makes a revolver in 357 that I believe goes up to 9 shots. I don't have it, but they do. They are out there. Cool Getter says yes or yeah. Well, I don't know exactly what you're agreeing with there, but I assume somewhere in the comment section. So anyway, thanks. Hey, those of you that are just jumping on, letting you know that, hey, we are having a debate topic on whether, if revolvers are obsolete. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. If you think otherwise, let me know in the comments section and we can start a debate there. But yeah, this is just kind of a fun conversation. Just thought I'd see if anyone's interested in it. Morning to you, wherever you're at, whether you agree or disagree with me, doesn't matter. I like having a conversation. So that's, it's not about, it's not about saying I'm right and you're wrong. It's just, this is my opinion and I think these are the facts, and I don't know. I could be wrong. Am I? Just for debate, having fun. Welcome to the channel, everyone. Give me a like. Let people know that we're out there watching. Those of you that don't know, we actually have a raffle giveaway going on in the description section. Go ahead and take a look at that. While you're here, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to the channel, everybody. We're talking about a debate here on whether revolvers are obsolete or not. Go ahead and drop your comment into the chat. Let's get started. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Or just drop in the chat and say hello. We could talk about anything. If you have any questions of me, let me know that too. We can always go there. We'll see. One of the things I like to do definitely as a YouTuber is uh, I definitely like to answer people's questions. Probably one of the few guys out there that actually takes the time to answer comments. So, and I try to engage every comment. I really do. I do read them. I do engage with them, good, bad, or indifferent. So, I don't judge for the most part. I might disagree with you. If you get disrespectful, that's a different thing entirely. And I got my ways of dealing with that. But I don't censor anybody. Okay. Asocial, but in Dutch, says thoughts on the TOZ 81 Mars. Don't have one. Honestly, don't know what it is. I'm not going to lie to you. So I can't give you thoughts on something I have no idea about. But thank you. Soviet space gun revolver. Ah. Well, if it's a revolver, I think it's cool. Interesting. I'd have to look that up, man. That's cool. I'd have to really look that up. So I just think it's neat. It sounds neat. What's it chambered in? Let me know. I'd like to hear. For those of you who don't know, I don't have a whole lot of hair, but good day to you. Sometimes it gets a little hot in here. I got a whole bunch of lights everywhere, man. So I got lights coming from up front, side, top. Eventually puts the heat on, if you will. Maybe that's a good thing. Don't know. Anyway, welcome to the chat. Let me know if you guys have any questions on there. Asocial, but in Dutch, says, I can't remember, and this is in regards to my question on whether it's what is it chambered in. I can't remember, but one of the rounds was a small gauge shotgun cartridge. Okay, cool. In space? That would be interesting. So, but I think that's interesting. Okay. Well, I'd have to look that up, man, to be honest. No, on Earth. Okay. It was for survival in the Siberian tundra after landing. Oh, okay. Okay. Makes sense. Got it. So they gave them a survival gun. Okay, and they picked a revolver or a revolver style, and it had a small shotgun shell in with it. Okay. Well, sounds cool. You know, but it looks like it'd be used for fighting aliens. Okay. Well, I mean, rule number one, look cool. So if it's used for fighting aliens, that'd be kind of interesting. I'd like to see. I'd like to see the looks of that. Anyway, that's funny. Thanks for bringing that up, Asocial. Are you from the Netherlands? Since your handle says "but" in Dutch. And where are you from, man? Let me know. I picked it because of the Netherlands, though. Okay. All right. Well, where are you from, though? Let me know. You don't have to give me the exact address here, but you know what country are you from? Northern Europe. Okay. Northern Europe, but not the Netherlands. Okay, Sweden. Norway. Try to be good on geography. Not anymore, admittedly. Okay. All right, for those of you that just dropped in, we're going to have a debate here. We're talking about how revolvers are not obsolete. You know, I'm saying prove me wrong. If you think otherwise, go ahead and drop it in the comments section. Let's talk about it. I'm sure there's people out there that would disagree with me. If not, then we can go ahead and have a conversation about other things. You got questions about myself, my life, YouTube, all that stuff, my channel, bring it up. We can talk about it. Just great conversation. We've been on for about an hour so far. We've had some good conversations going. If you could just go ahead and hit that like button for me, and let's spread it out. Let's let people know we're on. So, welcome to the channel. I hope everybody can hear me, so that's good. If you can't hear me, let me know. Welcome to the channel, everyone. Let's get chatting. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. Bloom Jackie says, I mean, most revolvers are old. That outdated mechanical design is not really useful. No wonder police and military forces have replaced revolvers with semi-automatics. Okay, but they're still innovating revolvers in current manufacturing production. So that doesn't mean that they're obsolete, though. Old and outdated. Old, some of them, but they're still making new revolvers today, and they're still innovating. You got things like the Rhino. You got, as I said, that Smith & Wesson 9-shot revolver, so higher capacity, also in a caliber that's supposed to be heavier hitting. I don't think that's really true. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, I would say that police departments do go with semi-autos. Okay, I'll agree with you on that, but it doesn't mean that they're outdated or doesn't mean that they're obsolete. Thanks for bringing that up, though. I will also add obsolete doesn't mean ineffective either. Great comment. Thank you. Glad we brought that up. Blessing says hi. Well, thank you, Blessing. Thank you for dropping in. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. If you have a question on that or want to talk about that, bring it up in the comments section. In the chat, we got some good conversation going on. If you want to, we can talk about other things. It's up to you. Just ask me questions. I'm a pretty open book, guys. Anyway. But yeah. We do have a raffle going on. If you check out the description section, you can take a look at that. Have a chance to win a nice prize. Take a look. Hey, Red. Come here. How'll do, boy? I got a dog in here. Anybody want to see a puppy? How'll do. Come here, puppy. Yeah, I got a little puppy over here. Giving him a nice pet. He wanted to check things out. See what's going on. He's my good buddy. My next best friend. Anyway, welcome to the channel, everybody. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. When we're saying are they obsolete, when was I guess you're saying when was I saying they are obsolete? Not or not. Does that necessarily mean we are putting them in competition with modern guns? I don't quite understand your question. You might want to restate that. No, so if you go back to the question, I mean, most revolvers are old and outdated and mechanical, and is not really useful. No wonder police and military forces have replaced revolvers with semi-auto. So no, you weren't saying they were obsolete. But I mean, when you say outdated, that kind of comes across as being obsolete. So no, you didn't use the word obsolete. Yeah, but outdated to me kind of comes across as being obsolete. I apologize if that's kind of misspoken. I mean, we are putting them in, to the second part, we are putting them in competition with modern guns. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is essentially the revolvers are modern guns, too, because they keep innovating, they keep changing. So, but semi-auto, you could technically say a semi-auto is outdated because they've been around since 1900 or a little earlier. So yeah, I guess we're saying we're comparing them to modern guns too. I would make that statement. They will never be. Joshua Test says they will never be. Joshua Test also says, I don't carry one, but they're never obsolete. Okay. Well, thank you for agreeing with me. And, do you have one? Do you have a revolver? Have you used it? I have used a revolver for carry before. Not large in general. Well, I take that back. I have carried a Ruger Blackhawk in open carry, though, not concealed. Round count and easily reload for the semi-auto, but in the woods and more powerful rounds, revolver always. Okay. Round count and easy reload. I think that's relative. I wouldn't say pick one or the other, to be honest. I'd say, what is your specific task without putting a location on it? Then I would go from there. Joshua Taft. Yes, I do have a 4 in 38 special. You have 4 revolvers in 38 special, I assume is what you're saying? Okay, cool. What brands? Exactly, task defines the gun. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that you go out into the woods, you may not be like, you may not be killing anything big. I mean, shoot, squirrels live in the woods and they're not big animals. Does that mean that you want a powerful gun to shoot them with? You but I mean, like, if you're going to go hunt a bear or something, you could argue that there are some semi-autos that people would carry. Even though it may not be recommended. But, I mean, you could carry a revolver in the woods, you could carry it in the urban, you could carry a semi-auto in the woods or in the urban, but what specific task are you trying to accomplish? Meaning, if you're hunting bear, I would not take a Glock 9mm. But if I was also hunting bear, I would not take a revolver chambered in 32 ACP or 380. Excuse me, 32 ACP or 38 Colt or something like that. Joshua Taft says Smith & Wesson and Taurus. Okay, well, Smith & Wesson's pretty good. And Taurus, I know, definitely has... I've heard good things about Taurus. I don't have Taurus. Well, it kind of comes in a mixed bag. I've heard good and bad, you know. But I think Smith & Wesson is pretty good too. I mean, they've been around forever. So they know what they're doing when they make revolvers. I'm sure they've had a few lemons. But I'm not going to say a whole lot of bad things about Smith & Wesson. So, thanks for bringing that up, though. Thanks, Josh. You know, we can always continue the conversation, you know. Debate me. Debate me. Prove me wrong. Once again, some of these might just be opinions, I'm sure. You know, you can have your opinion, I can have mine. The one Taurus I have is an old one, and it looks just like a Smith. I inherited it. Okay, well, awesome. I'm glad they handed it down to you and trusted it enough to hand it down to you. Congratulations. All that stuff. Ironically, I only have one gun that I inherited, and it's not here. Anyway, thank you for jumping on. Morning, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Give me a like so we can get some comments going. We can get some people out there who want to debate me. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. So, prove me wrong. Some people might be interested in it. I'll be back in a bit. Possibly I'll hit the like. Okay. See ya. Thanks, Josh, for dropping in. Thank you. We'll be here for a little while longer. See what other kind of conversations we can get. You know. I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, good morning to everybody, or wherever you're at. You know, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all around the world. Make sure you have something to drink. We're just chatting. I have a nice little debate going on. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. If you think otherwise, prove me wrong. Drop it in the comments section. Let's get a conversation started. So... or just drop in the comments section, say hello. Always nice to say hi to people. Or if you already did that, say hello again. Anyway. Always good to know. For those of you who don't know that we actually have a raffle going on in the description section, go ahead and take a look at that. Bloom Jackie, they might not be obsolete if you're just shooting a not moving target, something coming at you in straight line, but anything else, they are pointless. Okay, well, let me make sure I read that right. So Bloom Jackie says they might not be obsolete if you're just shooting. Is not a moving target, something coming at you in a straight line, but anything else, they are pointless. I would disagree, and I would disagree for the reason that you're talking about it's based on the shooter, not necessarily the weapon itself. Moving, not moving, I could take a pistol, I could take a semi-auto and be just as ineffective in hitting a moving target if I'm shooting at a moving target with a revolver. Trigger pull might be different on a few of them depending on what you got, so your mileage may vary. But let me ask you this then, if we're bringing that up, what if someone is on top of you? Let's talk about that. So, Bloom Jackie directly, what if someone is on top of you and you've got a semi-auto and you can't get your gun anywhere outside of, there's literally on top of you, and you have your gun against them and you can't pull the trigger because the gun's out of battery? What happens? Because you're not going to have the same issue with a revolver. And a revolver is not going to go out of battery on that unless you somehow hit the cylinder latch. But if someone is already on top of you, that might be an issue. Good question, though, or good comment. Thank you. Welcome to the chat, guys. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. Thanks for jumping on, everybody. If you have any questions, let me know. Drop it in the chat. We can get started. So, it may not be obsolete if you're just shooting it at a not moving target, something coming at you in a straight line. But anything else, they're pointless. Yeah, I would have to disagree with that. So, but yeah. Hey, thanks for jumping on, guys. Let's see how we do. Anyway, welcome to the channel. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not. We're doing videos quite often. I get a video short coming out every day. So hopefully y'all are enjoying it. We're trying to work on getting our content keep going. I'm trying to make sure that my content is being produced quite often. So I do want to let you guys know that, you know, if you see a hiatus in certain things, it's just because I'm focusing on one specific thing with the content creation. In this case right now, I'm working on shorts. We're doing live streams. I think this live stream, we'll see how this one goes, and then we'll talk about maybe doing more or less, depending on what kind of interaction we get. And then also, you know, what people think. I try to do a good voting system. Don't know if it really works. Seems like people are enjoying it, but I don't know. That we got 86,000 people on the channel, people that are subscribed. So I'm sure there's more opinions out there. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. What's up, brah? Gopal Bo Ross says, what's up? Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for jumping into the chat. Hopefully I gave you a good shout out. Give me a like. Let people know we're out here. Hello. Let's have a conversation. So anyway, hopefully everybody's having a good morning. Trying to have a pretty good conversation here and talk about revolvers and all that stuff. If you have any questions of me, let me know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Revolvers are the kind of guns for a life or death situation, but we are not in the 1860s anymore. You need flexibility in a gun. Okay? But that at this point revolvers are almost like flare guns. Okay? But the thing is if someone is on top of you, they're not charging at you. Your point was if they're sitting still. If someone is on top of you, they're still moving around. They're trying to immobilize you or hurt you in some way. And you're certainly moving too. If you've ever felt the weight of a human being on top of you, like if you've ever done wrestling or something like that, they're not sitting still. And they're trying to get some type of domination over submission, right? And in the case when they're trying to steal something from you or hurt you, I mean, they're trying to either kill you, immobilize you, and take your stuff. That still is a moving target. So, I mean, 1860s or not. And then at the same time, it kind of goes back on what I was saying. I can be just as bad at shooting a semi-auto at a moving target as I can a revolver. So I don't see how that really applies. So it's both of them could be just as ineffective at a moving target. And as I said, semi-autos have been produced since the 1900s. So technically, does that, I mean, based on what you're saying, does that technically mean that semi-autos are obsolete too? Or if they're out of date, if you will? I don't think they're like flare guns. Personally. And I know when you comment back, it's you can only put in so many characters, so I know. If you got to put in multiple chats, that's okay. I got no problems. Thanks for responding. So, but anyway, yeah, my claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. If you guys think otherwise, talk in the comments section, prove me wrong. Reload time and amount of bullets. Fire rate. Okay. Reload time. Reload time and fire rate, you're talking a lot about practice. I've seen, granted, these are people that are competitive shooters, but if you're talking about if we're talking about the average person, I mean, technically, I would argue that fire rate is irrelevant. Depending on what situation you're in. So I think fire rate is irrelevant on that one. Reload time, depending on what situation you're in. I mean, if you're talking about reloading because you're in a stressful situation and you're getting shot at, or you're in the process of defending yourself, generally speaking, how many reloads are done in a defensive situation? That's what I would ask you. And I can tell you for the most part, not many. I'm not going to say all because nothing is ever absolute. But, you're not going to see a whole lot of needs to reload in a defensive situation. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. So I'd say that's irrelevant too. Amount of bullets, okay, sure. Um, but as I said, there's revolvers out there that now have the capacity to carry things like 9 shots too. So I mean, and you're talking like, for example, people consider the LCP max with 10 rounds to be a fair capacity. So 1 round short of 10 rounds. Okay, that's my opinion. All right. Anyway, LD, thank you for the comment. If you got any more follow up, let me know. We can chat. So I appreciate all the comments. Everybody is being civil. Awesome. Thank you. Kem Kame, hi. Love you. Thank you. I love you too, man. I love all my viewers. Thank you. Those of you who watch my channel, make sure that you guys give me a subscribe. Hit that like button, get us pushed out there so that we can have more conversations. You guys can always ask me just about anything. Doesn't have to be on the topic. We can talk about my life, your life, lack of attachments. Okay. But you got things like, you do have revolvers with Picatinny rails on them. What kind of attachment do you need? You want a light as well? Revolvers are also meant, some revolvers you can shoot one-handed. You can shoot a semi-auto one-handed too. Are the attachments necessary for function? Ask that question first. Okay. Lack of attachments. Yeah. Like, are the attachments, ask yourself if the attachments are necessary for function. And then I would argue and say that revolvers have Picatinny rails too. They're coming out with ones that do. So once again, they're innovating and evolving too. NAJRC channel. Hey man, thanks for jumping on. Good to hear from you. We're going to be here for a little while. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. You're stating, I like attachments, but Slick's guns rock. I assume that's what you're saying. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't have them on my channel if I didn't think they rock. Bloom Jackie says, I mean, revolvers were made to shoot a not moving target better than a moving target. And I said they are like flare guns because revolvers are a single-use weapon. Okay, well, if they're a single-use weapon, then why were they meant to be reloaded? Revolvers were made to shoot a not moving target better than a moving target. Okay, so here's my argument against that. You could say that let me put it, is a 1911 a single action or a double action? Let me ask you that. Okay, first off, I'll just give you the answer. It's a single action. There are pistols out there that are single action only as well, and there are those that are single and double action. So I would say to an extent that they both can do the same thing. Some of them can have the same trigger pull, the same poundage. Trigger pull has to deal, trigger pull weight and all that. You have revolvers that have a lighter trigger pull, and you got some that have a heavier trigger pull too. So I'm not really seeing your argument, man, as to why they'd be obsolete for those specific situations or outdated. Single shots on a moving target are the staple of a marksman. Yeah, I'd say single shots on a distance target are pretty good too, man. Theolo Go Prime says good response. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Good. Thanks. Says good. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll try to give you an honest answer. Try to keep the BS down to a minimum. NAGJRC, my 10 shot 22 mag flat shoots to 100 yards. Watermelons get the picture. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I've been saying is that, that's what I've been saying is that some of these revolvers have, 9, 10 shots depending on caliber. So they're still not obsolete, you know? You're talking about something based on the shooter. I'm not everybody can shoot out to 100 yards, but I'm glad that you can. That's great. Some people could do that with a semi-auto too. Agreed. Yeah, but I mean that's awesome, man. And it's an 1873 clone. Great. Can't go wrong with an 1873, man. Give me thumbs up in America. 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 So anyway, thanks. Thanks for the conversations. The more or less fixed locked action on a revolver rocks. America. Yeah, you got less moving parts in some instances. I wouldn't necessarily say all instances, but I mean, generally speaking, a lot of people say revolvers have a tendency to be more simple in design. I'd say I agree with you on that one. Yeah. We'll probably be on for another 20, 30 minutes, guys. Just letting you know. Thanks for the conversation. If you guys have any questions, my claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. If you disagree with me, drop it in the comments section. Let's have a conversation. If you want to talk about anything else, by all means, put it in the chat. We'll chat. We can talk. Ask me about my life, my guns, my channel. Shoot, where are you watching from? Welcome. Pretty open book, guys. So if you have any questions of me, let me know. Anyway. Welcome to the channel, guys. Thanks for hanging around on this awesome Tuesday morning. Where I'm at. Maybe where you're watching from, you might be evening or someplace else. Don't know. Suggestions. I like your chroma key green, but the flatter the paint, the less post you have to do. What? I like your chroma key green, but the flatter the paint, the less post you have to do. What? Are you talking about the green screen? Flatter the paint. I don't know what you mean by the paint. I'm kind of confused. The green screen. Okay. Okay, I don't get the second part. I get the green screen part, but I don't get the second part. What do you mean by paint? I had the green screen up basically. The reason why I do that is so that I can have a cleaner looking background. Basically, I don't have to. Oh, okay. I'm changing it. Is that better? It's not paint. No. What it is it's light. So I got light coming in around. I got 360 light basically. It's brighter up front than in the rear. As you can tell, that's why I got a bit of a shadow. But it's no paint. Okay, glad that helps. Thank you. Yeah, it's not paint. It's just the green screen. But I do the green screen to basically so I can put up backgrounds, maybe bring up some pictures on some things, and also just it's cleaner. You don't see clutter in the background. You just got a solid, and that way you can focus on me or whatever. You know. So, welcome to the chat, guys. If you guys have any questions about me, the channel, whatever, go ahead and drop it into the comments section. We can have a conversation about it, get started. Also, just to let you guys know, we are currently having a debate right now on whether revolvers are obsolete or not. Personally, my claim is that revolvers are not obsolete, and I say prove me wrong. Okay, that looks good. I use a professional screen that is so flat, it's crazy. Well, where'd you get your screen from, bro? I bought mine about 5 years ago from Amazon. It's a nice green screen too. I like it. I think I paid about $300-400 for it. But yeah. Man. Anyway. Yep. For the most part, I'm seeing people's comments. I apologize if I miss any. It's not like things are popping off like crazy. I know it's kind of a niche topic. People may have an opinion, they may not. But I will try to answer every question, every comment, and at the same time give you a shout out. But also, if you're dropping into the channel, just go ahead and say hello. It's good to see you. I got it for free from a film studio who is throwing it out. It's a 9 foot by 6 foot. Oh man. Oh no. There we go. My hat fell off. Ah. Mine is not 9 feet by 6 feet. I want to say it's more like 6 feet by 8, or 6 by 5 ish. Maybe a little smaller than that. So that's a pretty big green screen there. Say you got it from a studio. Yeah, I wish I got it for free. Yeah, I know I lost my hat. This was 20 years ago. That's cool. Can I have your green screen? Just kidding. I got a good one. I think it does the job. But you paid $300-400 less than I did. That's great. Awesome. Good on you. Anyway, I worked for an opera house. Okay, so they gave it to you because you worked for them. Yes. So LD says main argument to why revolvers aren't obsolete. So yes, my claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. So if you disagree with me, then that's what I'm saying. You need to prove me wrong. Cost? How does cost make something obsolete? LD says cost. How does cost make a revolver obsolete? Okay. An LD says an M-lock costs much less than a revolver, but you can't shoot an M-lock. You'd have to attach it to something. Reload times. And this goes back to what I was saying is how many times have has someone had to reload when they have either been in imminent danger, threat, or otherwise? Okay. On a range, sure. I'm not gonna disagree with you on that. It could potentially take longer to reload. But if you're talking about in a pressing need when you absolutely need it, how many times are you going to have to reload the revolver? And how many times you're going to have to reload a semi-auto? Does it even happen? The answer is yeah, it does happen, but not that much. Okay. Um, and also there's practice as well. Yeah. Uh, Nag JRC channel. Also, a backlight will shut down the shadows, and uh, a hair light will help. Is a helpful. Okay. Well, thanks for the suggestions. Yeah, lighting is always one of those things you have struggles with, man. Especially when you do these videos. So it's always a constant improvement, but never perfect. But yeah, I get you. Thank you for the recommendations. Knack Channel says I was at work when I got it, but it was on a supply run. Okay, cool. But you were still working. Um, you were still working for that specific company. Okay, but at least you got it. That's awesome. Jerry Michalik will reload so fast. Yeah. So the one thing I'm gonna say about that though is not everybody is Jerry Michalik. Jerry Michalik is kind of an exception to the rule. I'm trying to talk about generally the individual average person. Yeah, so if the average person gets a little, gets practice on both, hypothetically, I guess you could say they could be just as fast on a revolver versus a semi-auto, maybe depending on trigger pull, all that stuff. But I'm not trying to say Jerry Michalak is the reason you should get a revolver. I will not say that. I don't think that's fair. Then aren't secondaries obsolete? So if you're carrying a second gun, how many times has a backup gun been used? That would be my question. I'm not going to say they're obsolete. I don't think they are. Okay, so my opinion is that secondaries are not obsolete, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about revolvers. Okay? So if your revolver is a secondary, is it obsolete as well? What if you carry a semi-auto but your backup gun's a revolver? Some people do that. Then technically it's not obsolete, the secondary or the revolver itself. The NAG JRC channel. Man, I keep messing up your thing. The only revolver I hate is a revolving rifle. Flash gap and double detonation are a thing. Yeah, I can't say I've wanted a revolving rifle, even though they did come out with one. I mean, shoot, Heritage has one, but it's not a. It is a cartridge gun. But then they also have the Uberti cap and ball guns, and yeah, so you risk. I mean, but they also design those for a certain way to be held. So I mean, you know, and for those of you who don't know, the revolving rifles, you had to hold them up here instead of hold them on the fore end for safety, back when they were cap and ball. You know, true that. Jerry is a legend. Clips help too. Okay. Nag jerk. Just call me nag jerk. Okay, I'll call you nag jerk. Nag jerk. I got it. I like it. Was that intentional? Okay. LD says not many. I assume you're talking about how many times they've had to reload or how many times they've had to use a secondary. Then, okay, I think to an extent that kind of proves my point. You know, if you don't have to reload, revolver, semi-auto, pick your flavor. But it's the revolver's not obsolete then. As a backup gun? So LD, are you saying that revolvers are not used as backup guns or used in reloadings? Just because a police force doesn't use it doesn't mean they're obsolete, though. That's what I would say. I'd say what's your relevance to what's your evidence to say that people don't carry back revolvers as backup guns, or not many? I think you're getting into absolutes, buddy. Sorry, I didn't. I'm not trying to say things disrespectfully, LD. So, I think you're getting into absolutes on that. To say no one uses them except for people on ranges, that's not accurate, and that's not accurate because there are people that do use them. I was talking about how people carry revolvers in open carry. They carry single action revolvers in open carry. Is it as common? No. Boo people do it? Yes. Doesn't make it obsolete though. Nag Jerk says nothing avant garde, just really cool. Ever had a cartridge revolver? Fire two cartridges at once? I did once. Thankfully, it was a 22. Yeah. Yes. Yes, I have. No, I have not had a cartridge revolver fire two at once. I have had a cap and ball revolver fire, have a chain fire. And it was a chain fire in just 2 rounds went off, not the whole thing. But it was actually in my Colt Walker replica that happened in, and that was ironically, it was barely noticeable, and I caught it on camera. By the way, if you go back and check at my shorts, you'll see it. You'll see what a chain fire looks like. LD says to seem more threatening. But if that's the case, then they mean that means they're not obsolete then. If a revolver is meant to seem more threatening based on what you're saying, and people buy it for that intention, then it's not obsolete. Nag Jerk says, cap and ball rocks. I've never had a chain fire. In a Walker, ouch, I'll check it out. Yeah, go check it out, man. I barely noticed it. I caught it on camera, and I noticed when I was checking it, it felt strange. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I heard it. That's how I knew it was a chain fire. Was I actually heard the second shot, and it was a slight delay. And then I caught it on camera. Yeah, go check it out, man. It's pretty cool. LD, good conversations, man. I'm glad we're bringing this up, though. Awesome. Yeah. I just, if they're to seem more threatening, then they're not obsolete. They're actually more prevalent and probably should be used if that's the case. Welcome to the chat, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. OG Orangutan says, I know about absolutely nothing about guns, but I completely agree with you, brother. Revolvers are cool as F. Okay. Well, thank you for dropping into the chat. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you for dropping a comment. Hopefully the shout out kind of gets back to you and you do see it. Yeah, the topic is we're saying, my argument is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. I know, and you're saying you absolutely know nothing about guns. Welcome to the channel, man. Perfect place to be. We're here to learn together, and I'm here to give you my knowledge as much as possible. I hope you enjoy the channel. Take a look. We do a lot of Western stuff on here. So if that's what you're into, go ahead and take a look at it. I got some awesome videos. We have over 865 videos on this channel. So take your time. Jake says, howdy. Welcome to the chat, Jake. Thank you so much. Make sure that you guys give me a like so that we push this content out further and let people know that we're on. But yeah, if you have any questions, just go ahead and drop it in the chat, or we can just have a generic conversation about anything. If you want to talk about, the revolvers, the guns I use, my life, have questions about me. Maybe you know me, maybe you don't. All that stuff. Hey, Jack, welcome back on. Hey, good morning. Did you just wake up? Yeah, we're doing a live stream today. I'm stating that revolvers are not obsolete. That's my claim. Prove me wrong if you disagree. But welcome. Glad you're on, man. Nice to have people on. Definitely, we are getting more people on, so that's great. I appreciate it. You guys are helping me out. So once again, this channel is about the viewer. We want to have you guys participate as much as possible. Maybe you jump in and out of the chat, jump in and out of the live stream. Yep. For those of you who want to debate, just get started in the comment section in the chat. My claim is that revolvers are not obsolete. Prove me wrong. No, I won't. Okay, fair enough. That's okay. So you just came in to say hello and enjoy the commentary. Always good. What are you drinking this morning? You up having your morning coffee in Massachusetts? Yeah, we probably got about 10 more minutes, guys. I just want to let you know. Ah, drinking coffee. Good. Well, guess what? I got soda. I got soda, man. Those of you that don't know, we're doing a raffle. You can look at the description section below. Don't miss out on your chance to win a nice prize. That'll do, Red. Come here. Those of you that don't know, I got a little puppy here. He's greeting me this morning saying hello. Nagjerk says, the only disadvantage I can see are capacity, more recoil slap, reload time if it's required, and dirt in the action. I've walked a few. Other than that, simple, easy to maintain, no field strip. Okay. So I think, yeah, I think the argument originally is if they're obsolete, and you're not saying they are obsolete, they just have a disadvantage. So I guess if we're going based off of semantics, yeah, I mean, disadvantage, you could have a disadvantage with it, potentially, you know, um, potentially even. So I've never had an issue get a revolver clogged with dirt, by the way. I don't know how often that really happens. But I mean, if you take a revolver, if you take a revolver with if you take a revolver, if you take a semi-auto and throw it in the dirt, I mean, people do dirt tests, mud tests all the time. They'll get clogged too. I will say though, I think that revolvers, if they get jammed, would be harder to clean. So, with that being said, okay. Oh, but I agree with you for the most part. Nag Jerk says, "Hi, puppy." Hello, Red. Can you say good morning? Can you say good morning? No, we can't get you in the camera. You don't want to get in the camera? Come here. Oh, Mr. Poopy Puppy. All right. Anyway, okay. Yeah. So Nagger says hi, puppy. LD says dog. You say dog again. Dog. Are dogs yummy with tomatoes? Says LD. Uh, you know, um, I don't eat dogs, so I wouldn't know. Do you? Jack Dorsey says, what league modification can you do to a revolver for cast competition? You can do quite a bit. I assume when you say league, you mean legal, right? What legal modification you can do? Red, I'm getting in my camera here. What legal modification can you do to a revolver for cast competition? You can do a lot of internal work, man. You can do changing springs out. You can do short stroke hammers. You can do sight modifications. You can do, you know, sky's the limit. I mean, there is some stuff that's outlawed. I have to look at it. I can't give you an exact answer on that one, but it's a lot of modifications. Okay, let's go to the next one. LD says, okay, I agree with you. Revolvers aren't obsolete. They're just not really worth it to use instead of a Glock. Fair enough. Fair point. Okay, Nag Jerk says, never obsolete, just a different tool for the situation that it is best at. It's a good way of looking at it. I agree. Jack Dorsey, yes. Okay. OG Orangutan says, sweet, I'll check your other videos, brother. I do think nothing is obsolete if it's still functional. I do have one question, though. Do you think there's any pros over mag-fed handguns? Yeah, I think that's a better question to ask. Yes, I think there are pros to it. That there's pros on both sides. So if you're saying, if you're asking the pro, but you're asking only pros for the mag-fed handguns, so that's what I'll give you. Yes, there is more capacity for the majority. Generally speaking, a mag-fed handgun can feed more rounds. Yes. You also have the potentially of cleaning wise, they're a little easier to disassemble. You know, sometimes it's just a couple of switches and you're good. With the revolver disassembly, you're going to have to use screwdrivers and such, especially if you're doing detailed cleans. Um, what other pros can I say? Uh, man, I think those are the two major pros I can think of. Some aftermarket accessories is another thing. But once again, aftermarket accessories don't have to deal with function. So I say those are the two major ones: is mag capacity and cleaning ability. I think those are the two major pros. Hope that answers your question. I could be missing some. I'm not perfect. But just off the top of my head, if I'm literally saying what pros are there to having a semi-auto, those are the two I would think of. Good question. All right, guys. I'll take one more question and then I think I'm done. But I appreciate everybody being on here. We've been going for about 2 hours now. I probably need to do other things with my life. I hate to say that. I love spending time with y'all, but I do have a life that I need to get going on. I'll give you a 2-minute warning. We've had a good conversation, though. Definitely enjoyed it. All right. Well, I guess, we've enjoyed this. Thank you for sticking on this long. I'll see you on the replay.